Welcome to part 2 of our silence culture discussion. Today we're going to continue from where we stopped, and if you missed part 1, the link will be over there where you can catch up so that you have an understanding of what we have been talking about. Well, basically in part 1 we talked about what the silence culture is about, and of course we asked our host what inspired her to be an advocate for ending the silence culture. We also talked about the causes, how the fact that because a lot of us are silent is actually tied to not just our environment or people we're around, but our sense of personhood, an identity crisis, low self-esteem, and a host of other things that could be going wrong with our souls. So it births from there. And it's something that has been passed from one generation to the other, right? Today we'll be talking more around circumstances. What are the circumstances where people are usually told to be silent?
Number 1, abuse. Abuse has many forms, but there is nobody that doesn't know somebody that was abused as a child.
Kai.
Think about it. There is no Nigerian that doesn't know another Nigerian that was abused as a child. Wow. Is it not a problem?
Wow.
Is it not a problem?
That knowledge in itself is an abuse. So that means we are all abused.
Yes.
Because the moment you begin to open your mind to things that are degrading and just unedifying, just annoying, I think it's a form of abuse in itself.
Yes.
So if I know that someone else is abused, I have actually been abused, because it's almost like I'm living the ordeal.
Yes. And if you learned that, if there will be a sizable percentage of us now,
wow,
both us here and people listening,
wow,
a sizable percentage that learned that as children under 13, do you know that was the day your childhood ended? Wow. Do you know that you were robbed of years of being carefree? After that day, you started to think, I should behave in such a way.
Yeah.
I should organize myself in such a way. I should do this and do this and do this so this doesn't happen to me.
Wow.
You were robbed of your innocence.
Now, after going through all this, someone says, keep it quiet.
Someone else says, keep it quiet.
For family's sake, for your own sake, so that you will not be embarrassed or shamed. Wow.
Someone says to you, just imagine the pain. And I know that there will be somebody here that is an enabler. Imagine the trauma. That person you said keep quiet to. Imagine the trauma they felt. Imagine how it did them in their hearts, in their mind. Imagine how that child who came to tell you, such and such uncle, such and such auntie touched my bum, and you said, keep quiet.
Wow.
Imagine the way it just did them gum inside their body, feeling like their feelings were not validated. Wow. And this is part of the cause. That's how it starts. Somebody looks at you and tells you, will you stop that? Will you keep quiet? What do you think people will say? The person begins to feel, why didn't I think of what people will say? Is there something wrong with you? Am I not supposed to have thought about it? But no. What we are seeing from today is that your opinion matters. Don't allow anybody to shame you into silence. Don't allow anybody to shame you into conformity. If you're outside the box, you're outside the box. Thank God for that. Number 2 is a situation where you are a bit different. You may be a lot different, you may be a little bit different from what is considered the norm. The norm is in quotes because there is no one mold that we should all fit into. So when you're different from the mold, for example, everybody in your family wants to be a doctor or a lawyer, you want to be a footballer, and someone tells you you are incorrect for thinking that way. You may look a different way, especially shout out to people that don't look like people in their family. Let's say the members of your family are all skinny and you're plus size and everybody's there. What happened to you?
What happened to you? Wow.
Don't allow them to shame you.
Wow.
They should mind their business. or everybody in your family is tall and then price you're short. And people are like, whoo, how come?
How come?
And I'm like, please. Side note, small interjection. Know when to keep quiet.
Wow.
Know when to keep quiet. There's some things that you shouldn't think as a person that is polite. There's some things you shouldn't think. More important, you should never say them. You should never say them. Don't say it. I'm not saying think before you say. I'm saying don't say it.
Wow.
You may think about it and in your opinion is not hurtful, and then you now start acting surprised when the person is all hurt and the person is all confused as to why you thought it was a good idea to see this thing. Don't be surprised. The thing that just came out of your mouth was not correct.
Wow.
Think about it. You
Wow.
shouldn't have said it.
I remember when I had my baby, and we took so someone contacted us and said wanted to do a photo shoot with the family. And then, I put a picture out there and someone said, you start having mommy arms. Why now, Chichi? No be we of that day. I had just had a baby. I didn't even need to explain it to her, like, for goodness sake, hey, mommy arms. Am I your mate? Am I not a mommy? So we have such discussion, and for me, maybe because I have got it, because I was at that stage at some point where those comments will mean something, but I think at that point the comment came, I was in a better place, so I just laughed over it. It was really ridiculous, to say the least. But there are people who say things like that in different circumstances. Why are you different? Oh, everybody in my house is science inclined. I'm the only art student, and I knew the battles I had to fight to be there. So it's a thing. Don't let people shame you're strong, please. Everybody's uniquely wired, and if you haven't watched my video on purpose and calling, you should.
Number 3.
Yep.
That syndrome of your own is too much. My own is not too much until you are upsetting me. No. Think about it though. Someone says something to you that that person should not have said, because what? You have uncommon sense. But because society has told you respect your elders, behave some type of way. You be a woman now, no they shout anyhow for public. You decide to stuff it down, push it down, and then you keep on building up that feeling of inadequacy until you get to a point where you begin to doubt yourself. Don't allow anybody to have that power over you. Someone says something you don't like. There are ways you can take care of it. You can say to the person, I appreciate the fact that you have an opinion. I don't see it that way. That's one. Secondly, you realize that is that person's opinion, and that person's opinion has nothing to do with how I am. And number 3, saying to that person, don't say that to me again.
Wow.
You were telling me of the time you were at the bank and someone tapped a lady, and then she said, don't touch me, and the person said, hey, waiting,
I'll keep touching you. Waiting, do you? Is your body gold?
No. And if you're the type of person that when someone confronts you, you double down, check yourself. Check yourself. Someone tells you did this thing and this thing was not correct, and then even though you are beginning to have some doubts as to why you did that, how you behaved, because you were confronted, you now double down and you refuse to admit that you're wrong. That's not how to behave.
Yep, that's bad manners, simply put.
That's not how to behave. If someone tells you, and listen to me, if someone tells you, I don't want this, don't say this to me, don't touch me, don't do the, it is their body.
Yes.
It is their body.
Yes.
You respect their boundaries. You say, okay, I didn't realize this would upset you, I'm sorry. Not that someone tells you, this is where I draw the line. You now carry your eraser and you now clean it, you now say, it's not up to you, there's no line here. No. If honestly, we have a lot of restructuring to do. We have come to the point where we realize that somebody's opinion is not going to rule my life. we must also come to the point where we will now say, yes, your opinion is not going to ruin my life, but I need you to know that this your opinion is not supposed to be spoken out loud.
Wow.
So it is in stages. We're growing small. We'll get to the point where people don't even dream of saying such things to you because you have enforced your boundaries. This is life. You cannot say because I have said it once that somebody should not say this thing to me, I won't have to say it again. No. For you to have peace of mind, you will fight for it. You will claw for it. It will be something that is hard. You will get tired of repeating yourself. You will get tired of insisting. But for you to have that thing, you have to follow it with useless diet. And not even, you may say, okay, people are always talking about how people should be polite to people who are fat and not say such and such a thing to them. Also think about that girl you see passing and you're asking her, where is your bum bum? Think about that thing that you just said.
Oh my goodness.
You make that girl to go and give her kidneys to these Instagram people that are selling bum bum supplements. Selling supplements for her to have big boobs. Think about it.
Wow.
You want to destroy somebody's self-esteem. Why? I know it may stem from insecurities on your own part.
Yes, absolutely.
But because other people made you feel that type of way, does not mean you should continue.
Wow.
We are going to end the cycle. By the time you remove yourself from the continuation of that cycle, there will be a break. You can decide, from me henceforth, after me, this thing will not continue. After I am here, this thing will not keep going on. So we have our own parts to play. We cannot say, I'm not the person that will say it. But then your friend says something to somebody and then you didn't say anything, you chuckled because the person meant it as a joke. You just laughed a little bit so that your friend will not feel bad that their joke did not fly. No. Finally, bonus points now. Somebody can say no after saying yes.
Please, love it, man.
Somebody can say no after saying yes. If they have said yes, they can still say no.
No, absolutely.
Here, don't say he was acting in such a way, it meant yes. His mouth say yes. Don't say she was behaving in such a way that it was obviously a yes. Did her mouth say yes? Please.
Wow.
Your entitlement you have to reduce it.
You know what I hear you say is that your own is not too much. And that speaks for me to being so aware of yourself that you're able to teach people about you. I think we should have a full discussion on this because a lot of people do not even study themselves. And you see, self-knowledge is the highest and most profitable form of knowledge. Just being able to know yourself, study, have a PhD in yourself, and tell people, hey, I don't like that, don't do that, don't say that, okay, do this to me, make me feel this way. And this is something you're going to do in all your relationships, at work, in marriage, amongst your friends, between you and the superiors in whatever level of life, and even with your subordinates. At different points, you're going to insist on certain things. Don't let anybody tell you your own is too much, you're too this, you're too that. As long as what you are saying is not destructive and is not offending anybody. Okay? Please, this is very important. So I think the next question I want to ask is, what's the way forward? So someone is hearing and they know that they have been silenced for too long. And to them, after this video, is like, enough is enough. I totally agree. I can totally relate to all these things you're saying. What's the way forward?
The way forward, as we've been saying, it still comes back to what? Decision. If you have come to the point that you decide enough is enough, that's the decision. That is the beginning. That's the starting point. And like we said before, because I've decided that enough is enough, does not mean that people will not still try to shove me back
to you
into that place I'm coming from.
Yes.
But it just means that I have come to the point where even if they try to push me back into that box, I've decided that that box doesn't fit me anymore. I refuse to go back.
I refuse. Awesome.
You're not being difficult when you insist. You're not being hysterical when you insist. You are not being a typical dramatic person when you insist and enforce your boundaries. They are your own. They are your own. Not to say that you refuse to be teachable. Not to say that you refuse corrections. But when somebody continuously damages your self-esteem, it is up to you to carry your bag and go. Walk away. Don't say we've been friends for 20 years. That person makes you feel terrible about yourself. Leave that friendship. You are not surgically attached. Leave it.
Wow. Talking about the power of choice. Remember, this is choices with your girl, Chichi. Make the decision to move. But more than any other thing, I would say, get you an identity based on the creator's manual. For me, that's my one-time cure for everything. What has your creator said about you? Are you a TV or a microwave? Don't confuse yourself. Because you're all electronics doesn't mean you're made for the same thing. Go back to your manual. Go back to your creator and ask him. And he's glad to tell you. The Bible says if any of us lack wisdom, we should come to the Father who loves to give. Say he gives it generously. Get you an identity. Away from your norms, away from your culture, because we have come to understand that the people who herald this thing, they are men and women. Okay? They are men and women. Traditional keepers. This is how it has been. As it was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be. Word without end. We are putting a mark. We are saying enough. Okay? If you lack wisdom, if you need any form of wisdom, the Bible says to ask your Father who gives generously. Go and read your Bible. Really. Read your Bible. Read the manual. And find out what he says concerning your individual path. Because remember, from our last video, we talked about the fact that everybody is on a different path. And you're going to, it will be a loss, it will be a disadvantage and a disservice to your creator and all that has been put into you to be laboring in another person's vineyard. Why? Like you did not see your vineyard to cater, you just moved willingly and you're in someone else's lane, helping them run their race. You're going to get to the end and your master is going to say, and you're going to be like, yo, and they're like, yeah, you're a bit too late or too early. You're not on your lane. So please, I think all we have been able to say in part 1 and part 2 is know yourself, find God, and find an identity in Him, and refuse to be silenced. This is not an excuse for bad behavior. If people are complaining about a bad behavior, you know. But when people begin to shame you for your peculiarities and your superpowers, refuse it. Run from such environments. Speak out against it. Don't be silent. Explain yourself to people. Know yourself enough and explain yourself to people. I have been thoroughly blessed. Thoroughly blessed. I just want to leave you with a quote that says, sin thrives in secrecy. When people are unchecked and when people don't speak up about atrocities that are committed, it happens again. It happens in the same family, it happens in the same place, it happens to the same person. It continues from one generation to the other. But after this video, I know that Nigeria, your neighborhood, your family, your community, your places of worship will experience a change. Please do well to share this video. You guys know I love you. Thank you so much. Ifem Sachi, we are grateful for this wisdom that you have shared. Alright guys, so much love from here. I'll see you in my next video. Ciao.
Okay. Someone says something to you that genuinely hurts your feelings. Burst! Shout! The person is not behaving well.
You should not shout, you should not burst. Your ethical ways. I think you should speak out.
Okay,
Find the appropriate way to speak out.
Speak out. Okay.